So, good afternoon all. Today we will continue from our yesterday's class. Yesterday we discussed about VLSI design flow from CAD perspective. So, yesterday we have just to summarize, we started learning, understanding the digital design flow. In that we started with system level design, which is generally done by using C or MATLAB. Followed by we did behavioral level designing, which is also called as RTL level design, that is generally done by using Verilog SDL. Then we follow a synthesis process. The synthesis process takes the RTL code, and at the same time it takes the libraries from corresponding vendors with whom you are going to fabricate your IC, and they will produce a gate level file for you. These gate level files are also in SDL only. So, again we have to do functional simulation of those gate level files. We have to do timing analysis, power analysis, and followed by that each gate can now be represented by a transistor. So, we have to create a transistor level netlist out of that. So, mostly we use we take help of CAD tools to design transistor level netlist. So, we also discussed about DRC, which is called as design rule check. We have also discussed about LVS, layout versus schematic. So, once DRC and LVS is done, your digital design flow is almost over. So, now we will go for the analog design flow in the right side. You can just see here. So, in analog design flow, it starts directly from the circuit level design. So, you have to here there is no gate level design. So, directly you have to take circuits and you have to design your analog design. So, like you, if you want to design a current mirror or comparator, in that case you do not have any gates inside it. So, you have to take directly circuits and you have to design the circuits and find out its functional simulation, check that whether the accuracy of that comparator or current mirror is up to your mark or not. Okay. So, once the circuit level design is over, again it consists of transistors. So, we will go towards layout of the design. So, the basic difference between your digital and analog is the gate level design. So, in digital you may have a gate level design followed by transistor level, but in analog design we will directly start from the circuit level design. So, once your transistors netlist are with you, so there is a method called SPICE coding. By using SPICE coding, simulation program with IC emphasize, it is abbreviation for SPICE. So, by using SPICE coding, we can able to code the particular transistor, and also we can able to simulate it by using SPICE simulator. So, in the next slide I have listed what are the different simulators are there used in industry or in academics, and which you may use for your study purpose. So, once the layout is done, again we have to pass through the DRC and LVS. So, mostly here he has written SPICE netlist extraction. Okay. So, once you are doing layout, out of that also another SPICE coding will be extracted. So, there will be a tool called extractor, it will extract the SPICE code out of the layout. Okay. So, after that is over, then finally again for that transistor you have to do functionality checking, that is you have to check whether the functionality is accurate or not. You have to also perform timing checking, you have to also perform the power analysis. Okay. So, certain tools with certain commands help us to do this entire process. So, once you, as I told you, the nowadays all the designs in the market or ICs are mixed signal type of IC. So, you will find one processor inside it, and at the same time you will find on the chip of the processor nowadays ADC, DACs, power regulating units are also available. Okay. The common example you can find ARM processor, or there are few 8051 processors are there, also AVR Atmega processors are there. These all are mixed signal chips. Okay. So, they contain both designs like digital design as well as the analog designs also. Okay. So, now once your digital design and analog design is over, the next step is towards that we are going towards creating a chip for a particular specification. So, next is your called PNR of digital and analog circuit. So, here PNR stands for place and route. So, in detail of place different steps of PNR I am just I have listed here. The details of this I will tell you in the next session. So, just for keywords you remember the PNRs are classified like partitioning, floor planning, placement, then followed by it is called CTS, stands for clock tree synthesis. Then you have to do routing, that is you have to connect between all the blocks with appropriate metal layers. Then you have to also check the timing closeness or timing analysis of the placed layout. Okay. So, all these things we will discuss tomorrow's class. So, now once PNR is over, that means a vendor with whom you are going to fabricate your IC, they will provide you a certain area of space where you can fabricate your IC. So, in that you have to place your corresponding blocks. Okay. After placing the blocks, that is you have to first decide the partitioning, you have to decide which block where you want to keep it. Okay. So, that is also called floor planning. So, you have to plan the given area to you, die area whatever is given, you have to plan accordingly, and accordingly after that you have to place the corresponding cells or blocks. Then you have to do the connection between these blocks. So, mostly this is called as place and routing. Okay. So, once all these things over, then again we have to extract the netlist, and again here also you have to do a functional simulation. So, you can just imagine that how many stages of simulations are required to perform. Okay. So, as here hardware is involved directly. So, whatever your design you are expecting to deliver to the market, if that will not be produced in time, you will lose the market. Okay. So, that is why each stage and again here manpower, at the same time money also involved. Okay. So, so that is why at each stage they used to do proper simulation. Okay. So, there are you will find in each state we have a simulation. So, according to this simulation they want to cross verify that their specification are meeting. So, if in some stage if specification is not meeting, then you have to go back again, redesign the things and again try to meet the specification. Okay. So, after the entire entire spice is extracted after the PNR, then you have to again do the DRC, that is called design rule check, ERC engineering rule check. So, that I will tell in next class, and also layout versus schematic LVS. Then finally, one file called GDS2 file, graphic database system, that we used to generate from a tool, from any tools available like Cadence and Synopsys are there. So, I have listed in one slide what are the tools are useful for you for studying or working in VLSI industries. Okay. So, you have to follow in the red here they have mentioned what are the tools that you can use for doing PNR. So, Cadence and Synopsys, any tools you can use, and then you have to create a graphic database system GDS2, that is the format. That format is nothing but it is a word, it is a simple node file that has to be sent to the fabrication vendor like UMC or TSMC. Along with your money, if you are sending them, they will give you the IC after 3 months. Okay. So, here MOSIS is written. MOSIS is one of the company who also fabricate IC. So, in the left side what we have done is we have I have just for your understanding I have placed few equivalent blocks, like system level it will be consists of a big blocks that can be further partitioned, and again you can write in RTL level through using codes. So, it is a representation of VHDL actually it is written. Then after that synthesis is over, you will get gates out of the code. So, this is gate level representation. So, once gate level representation is done, then you are left with next level is transistor level representation. So, here they have given certain bond pins, bond pad dots, and along with some blocks containing transistor. Okay. So, after transistor level is done, then you have to go for doing design rule check, LVS and all you have to perform, and once your DRC and LVS are passed, then only your company will accept your design GDS2 file. So, they always ask for certain checklist, that out of that checklist one of the important factor is your DRC, design rule check. So, DRC should give a no error result, then only they will accept your design for further fabrication. So, once DRC is done, then it will, this is actually a representation of a die. Okay. So, in this die there may be a chance one IC may come here 1. So, similarly in a die there are many ICs can be fabricated at the same time, same similar type of ICs, so that it will leads to a mass production and overall cost will be minimized. Okay. And finally, once the die is with you, they will fabricate you this small portion. After properly cutting, this small portion will be one IC, but that has to be properly packaged with proper packaging medium, like DIP, dual inline package, QFPT. So, similarly different packaging unit has to be done, so that your final IC will be created. Okay. So, it depends upon what packaging you are using for your final fabrication of IC. So, this is actually an overall view of a VLSI design flow. Okay. So, this is very important to understand the flow and what are the requirements of the flow, and which domain you want to work. Accordingly, you can carry out your further study or research in this area. Okay. Then coming to next slide, what I have done is I have put certain summary, you can say, of that VLSI design flow. So, what are the different levels are there, and depending upon those levels, what are the coding language mostly used in IC designing. Okay. So, coding used in different abstraction levels. So, first is your system level designing, which is mostly we deals with algorithmic level. We finalize our algorithms for our particular application. So, there I told you we use C, MATLAB and System C. System C is combination of C as well as hardware description language. Okay. Then RTL level use a Verilog SDL or VHDL. Okay. Then gate level design, what we got generally after the post synthesis result, means after synthesis is over, that also be generated in Verilog SDL and VHDL. So, it sometimes nowadays in CAD tools it supports automatically, it will generate the netlist in gate level in this corresponding coding language. Okay. Then after gate level it is your transistor level design. So, transistor level design we mostly use a SPICE coding, simulation program with IC emphasize. Okay. So, this is the code universally adopted for coding transistor level netlist. Then for simulation of gate level and verifying the gate level designs, we also use VHDL Verilog. Nowadays in an tool enhanced version of Verilog SDL, that is called System Verilog, which also supports object oriented programming, is mostly adopted in industry for doing digital IC verification. Okay. So, there are lots of job prospects available in VLSI and at the same time in verification industries of VLSI in India. Okay. Then also in industry they use scripting languages. So, scripting languages are used to automate your entire process. There are lots of processes. Sometimes if you have a scripting language, that language can automatically perform all the operation. Okay. So, Perl and Tcl, there are two scripting languages that is mostly used in industry. Okay. So, these few of them we are going to teach you, and few of them, if time permits, you try to learn on your own. Then CAD tools perspective, because VLSI design flow will be well understood if you will do corresponding practice in by help of industry standard CAD tools available. So, here I have listed only the industry standard CAD tools which are nowadays available in all the academics institutions also. Apart from this, there are many open source tools are also available, those are I have not listed here. Okay. So, if it is according to your process, if you are doing simulation. So, let me tell you that whatever entire flow I have told, that can be done by using any tool. Okay. So, there are three major industries. In industry there are three major vendors which are producing tool for VLSI industry. One is called Synopsys, second is called Cadence, and followed by Mentor Graphics. So the tools I have listed here according to their requirement, I mean according to their companies I have listed. So if you are designing, you have designed a gate, you want to simulate it in IC level, then you have to use Synopsys VCS. Cadence company is there, it's using NCSIM, and Mentor is having Model Sim. So this is a theoretical stuff. I will just tell, and we'll go to next slide. Then for synthesis, like you want to create a gate level netlist out of a RTL code, then Synopsys has a option of design vision and mostly used in industry, and Cadence having RTL compiler, and a latest version of RTL compiler is called as Genus. Okay. Similarly, for place and route tool, Synopsys has a tool called IC compiler, Cadence has SOC Encounter, followed by Innovash. So these are right side as the upgraded version of the Cadence tool available in today's market. Then for SPICE simulation, I told you have to write the transistor level netlist in code, in SPICE code. So that has to be again simulated in transistor level transistor level. So in that Cadence uses Spectre SPICE, Synopsys use SPICE, and Mentor use Eldo SPICE. Okay. So for design rule checker and LVS, Cadence has a option of Ashura, Mentor has a Caliber, Synopsys has a option of Hercules. So correspondingly for verification tool we use VCS, NCSIM, and Model Sim or Questa Sim respectively from Synopsys, Cadence, and Mentor Graphics. Okay. And there are timing analysis, testing tools, and formal verification tools are also listed here. So if required, you please see to this slide. Okay. So to complete an entire IC design process, at least you need to learn at least one simulation tool, one synthesis tool, and one PNR tool. Okay. And also after PNR is over, as you will get to a SPICE net list, you also require to learn DRC, LVS, and SPICE simulation tool. Okay. So you use any company's tool, but you have to complete the flow in practice so that you can understand the flow in a better way. Okay. Then next we have started before the VLSI design flow. I have told you about the aspects of hardware design. So there are three fundamental aspects, or you can say three fundamental domains of hardware design we have discussed in last class. These are called as behavioral, structural, and physical level. Okay. So we have discussed this. So here Daniel Gajeski and Robert Cohen in 1983 they have represented one chart called Gajeski Y chart. It incorporates the entire three domain of VLSI design. Okay. So in structural domain you can find okay, first start from behavioral domain. So behavioral domain, you have to specify the system behavior, and that can be further partitioned into flow charts or algorithms, that can be further partitioned into register transfer. Okay. Flow charts or algorithms can be rewritten properly by using register transfer level. Then register transfer can further be written using Boolean expression. Okay. And again finally the Boolean expression has to be written in terms of transistor functions, that will leads to design a gate level design. Okay. So that is why what I have written here, the information in each aspect is represented at different level of abstraction. So in each domain or in each aspect there will be different level of information will be passed. Okay. So out of that information you can able to design your particular hardware as per your specification. Okay. And for a single design description language, for a particular abstraction level there exists no single design language. Okay. So like for gate level we are using SDL, in transistor level there is no scope that you will use SDL. So for that you have to use certain other language, like I have written here SPICE is used. Okay. Understood. So similarly after behavioral domain is over, next is your structural domain. So structural domain is start with a system structure. So top level module of the system will be with you, then followed by it will be divided into processor or buses, or sometimes the peripherals of the system which constitutes the individual block to the entire system. Then finally, this processor may be internally contains memory elements, it may contains ALU for data manipulation, and registers also for storing. So, that we further classified processor and buses can be classified as RAM, register and ALU. Okay. And in lower level hierarchy, again if you want designing registers, it will be consist of flip flops, okay, and ALU will be consist of gates. Okay. So, that is another level where you can pass information in structural domain. Then finally, all these gates and flip flops, we know that it consists of the transistor. So, anyway you work in any domain, you have to start from a top domain, top level of hierarchy, and you have to go till the transistor level of hierarchy. Okay. So, similarly in physical domain, in the top your boards, and MCM stands for multi chip module, because in board we may have a different chip and it will be connected to form a MCM, multi chip module. Okay. Out of that you can have individual chips, again individual chips will have a individual block layout, and finally each block layout may consist of certain gate cells or standard cell layout, whatever I told last class. Then finally each standard cell or gates will be again consist of the transistors. Okay. So, this is how they have we can represent our entire aspect of the hardware design, that is behavioral, structural and physical, in terms of Gajdowski Y chart. Okay. Now, coming to next about hardware design methodology. Design methodologies in VLSI is classified into three categories. Okay. So, first category is called as top down design, second is bottom up design, then last one is mixed top down and bottom up design. Okay. So, in top down design, what happens if your design is, just assume that your design is very complex. Okay. So, you can't directly code it or directly design a complex behavior into the coding level. So, what you have to do is you have to first partition the entire complex behavior, if you are having, or complex you can behavior here, you can say that the specification of your design. So, entire complex behavior has to be partitioned into a sub behavior. Okay. So, what we are doing is, it is a top down approach where you can see the desired behavior is at the top, and out of that we can partition it to sub behaviors. Like if there is a big processor is there, a processor design. So, processor can be further divided into control unit and data path. Okay. So, control units further can be divided into FSMs. Similarly, data path can further be divided into LU, registers or shifters. Understood my point? So, now in order to design processor, we have to divide it to a certain sub behaviors. So, now if you know what is LU, it is a sub module of the processor. Now, again what you can do further, LU also you can divide. Okay. So, now LU may consist of a AND gate, one XOR gate, one NOT gate, or sometimes NAND gate, or doing some logical or arithmetic operation. So, if you further divide ALU into AND gate, then you know that if I will take a AND gate, I can perform an ALU AND operation. So, similarly, if you will take that variety of all the gates, then you will finally get a ALU. Understood? So, this is how we start from a top and we go towards the down. Okay. That is why it is called top down approach. So, desired complex behavior of the hardware is partitioned into interacting simple sub behaviors. That means, sub behaviors should also have interaction with each other to form the top level main behavior or your main desired behavior. Understood? Then finally, further the partition of the sub behaviors are done, or it breaks down further with interfacing simple enough behavior whose implementation are known. That means, as what we have taken ALU example. So, the partitions sub behavior can also further be partitioned, so that you will come up with the lower end module. Like in ALU case, you come up with an AND gate, one XOR gate, one NOT gate. Understood? So, now you know how to design an AND gate. Okay. So, you have to go till simple enough behaviors whose implementations are known to you. Understood? So, in this way we have just started from a big design and we have ended with a small modules which are known to us. Okay. So in this case mostly example also I have given as microprocessor design. So if this type of designs actually designer enjoys full freedom, so each module designer can design on his own, no need to depends upon any library or anybody else. Okay. The benefit is here is that this type of design is very useful for your complex designs, like if your gate count are very high. So in that case no need to go for any other approach, this top down approach is better. Okay. So next coming to your bottom up design. So now as you can see here, in bottom up approach we have given parts or components are already given. So we can have it from certain available libraries. So we can take those given parts and we will interconnect it in a proper way to form our desired behavior. Okay. So this is called bottom up approach. Okay. So as this is visible to you, so you can feel that this will be better in case of your design complexity is not that high. Okay. So like if you want to design a counter, so you can take like 4 bit counter, so you can take D flip flops in T mode and you can properly connect so that one counter will be created. So D flip flops are internally nothing but it can be formed by using NAND gate or something like that. Okay. So from small module you may approach and you can finally achieve your desired behavior. Okay. But as counter you can do, but if it is a case of microprocessor you can't do the entire design by a bottom up approach, because you have to start from a simple transistor and you have to reach till a microprocessor, like ALU you have to design, then further data path, control unit. Mostly microprocessor control unit designed in FSM, finite state machine. Okay. So finite state machine is very important in digital design. Okay. So in bottom up approach it realizes the desired complex behavior by suitably selecting the behavior from a given set of behaviors given in a library. It also sets connection among them, what we discussed, and it is adequate if complexity is not that high. Okay. So one example is counter, you can take also ALU as an example, but microprocessor can't be possible to do in this design approach. Then there is a mixed type of approach is there which is called mixed top down and bottom up design. So it realizes by first following the top down method. So you have to do top down method recursively for a few times, so that you will be left with a certain known modules. Those modules can be redesigned by using bottom up approach. Okay. So while in the top down method you have to again partition the desired complex behavior into a set of interconnecting simple behaviors. This is the definition for the top down approach. Then finally you have to realize the simple sub behaviors by following the bottom up approach. Okay. So in this case you have to suitably select interconnection parts from the available libraries, you have to connect it properly, so that you can meet the corresponding top level complexity, top level design. Okay. So the as the figure indicates, you can see it will start from a desired behavior. So some portion you can partition it to into different blocks. Okay. So here you can see it is going top down approach till here, then again there is a bottom up approach. So somewhere here it is top down and few portion bottom up, and similarly top down and few portion bottom up. Okay. So here they are telling that when you are doing top down approach, it is treated as partitioning the block into small sub behaviors. Okay. And when you are doing bottom up approach, you are taking the available known blocks with you, small modules, and you are assembling it to form your desired complex behavior. Okay. So depending upon this hardware design methodology, further we will see that how this will affect your Gajdesky chart. Okay. So if you will see here, this is actually written top down design in Gajdesky's Y chart. Okay. So you can see that top down approach means you are just starting from behavioral level, going to structural level, then again covering few physical domain, again going to flow chart, again going to gate or flip flop, then block you are doing the layout, then you are doing again register transfer level logic, then it consists of transistor, then cell layout, again some Boolean expression, then finally through transistors you are doing the transistor layout. So, this is one example of your top down approach. So, that means if we will modify the Gajdowski Y chart containing 3 different domains or aspects of hardware design. So, this will treat as the or this will demonstrate the top down approach, okay. And the reverse will demonstrate the bottom up approach. From transistor known modules you have to go till the complex desired behavior which is in the system level, okay. So, it shows that if it is a very complex design like microprocessor, doing a bottom up approach is not advisable. Then this is mixed type of approach. So, in mixed type of approach what they do is they start from behavior, they again go for processor and buses, then from that they will come back to flow chart, then again from there they may design registers or ALUs, then that can be further designed using register transfer, which is again further designed using gate and flip flops, and that can again represented as Boolean expression, then finally transistor, okay. So, this is top up and sometimes you can also do from transistor level to you can go up to the system level, okay. So, this is somehow mixed design in Gajdowski Y chart. Then another 2 terminologies we are having here. So, this is definition and terminology used in VLSI, okay. So, I told few definitions or terminology you also known by this time, that is called your synthesis you know, analysis you know, abstraction we know, okay. So, synthesis is a process of if your algorithms or RTL code is given. So, by using synthesis you can create your hardware. That means, if behavioral level is given, by using synthesis process you can able to create your structural netlist or gate level netlist, that is called your synthesis. And analysis means if your structures are with you, you have to do further simulations to verify that your behavior met or specification met, okay. So, that is why your structures we are taking, we are doing simulation through by using coding language or by using certain help of certain tool, and we are analyzing the design so that our behavior met or specification met, okay. So, in the similar way extraction is one of the method where your if you have written a extraction is nothing but extracting hardware from your algorithm. So, like we did SPICE extraction, so you are designing a layout. So, out of that by using extractor tool SPICE coding will be extracted, okay. So, real netlist in gate level or SPICE level will be extracted by using extraction level, okay. So, similarly in generation level, what will generation is the opposite to extraction, where your transistor design will be given. Out of that you have to generate your top level chips, or you have to generate out of that the boards or multi chip modules, okay. And abstractions are the different levels or different abstraction sets in VLSI design, starting from behavior, RTL, gate level, then further to transistor or physical domain, right. And refinement is a word which is used like what level of refinement you are doing, and starting from the top level of hierarchy to bottom level of hierarchy, okay. So, these are the keywords. If we are starting or a beginner in VLSI, then we need to learn all these keywords so that it will be easy for us to further understanding the more detailed concept, right. So, next coming to Gajdowski Y chart with explaining design and tool levels, okay. So, just see, if this portion we are covering, this dotted portion, it is treated as system design and behavioral design. So, here nowhere when I am telling about system and behavior, at that time there is no gate, there is no transistor. I am talking in the top level module, okay, algorithm level or in the system block level. So, that is why here only processor bus, system structure, system behavior or flow charts are there, algorithmic level, okay. So, here where I told you can use C or other language like MATLAB to verify first if you are doing a image processing engine for your camera. So, you have to verify your image algorithm first, okay. So, that can be done in better way by using C or MATLAB or by using OOPS concept. If that is okay, then you have to go further to the next level, that is called your RTL design and logic design, where you will get the gates that we discussed last class. So, here you will find, here we do have register transfers, RAM, register, ALU. So, register transfer means whatever now code you are, here we do coding using Verilog or VHDL. So, whatever code you are doing, in reality as there is a clock in your design, it will pass through or it will create a flip flop in your design, or some few registers will be created. Okay. And finally, that data will transfer between the registers. Okay. So, that is why here register transfer is written, and those in structural module, that is achieved by using RAMs or registers or ALUs for data manipulation, right. And this further consists of the gates and flip flops. So, this is a gate level design, okay. And gate levels are well defined by using Boolean expression that you know. So, that is why this area in Gajewski Y chart constitute of RTL design and logic design level, right. Then further, if you will see your transistor design, here you are having only transistors, all transistors, these are called your transistor design, okay. And this is actually cell design. So, just try to remember when there is a transistor is there, like I want to tell that you design a standard cell gate for 2 input NAND gate, okay. So, 2 input NAND gate in CMOS logic. So, that NAND gate will consist of 4 number of transistors, 2 NMOS and 2 PMOS. So, that transistors are constituting this transistor level design. So, when you are creating a gate out of that by putting a proper VDD and ground, and you are simulating that it is working for working as a 2 input NAND gate, that is called as standard cell, which we will be doing in today's lab, okay. So, that is why transistors level netlist, in top level it forms a cell design. So, those are called standard cell design, okay. So, these are actually the terminology you should be aware of it, okay. Then finally, the transistors in the physical domain, I told we go more towards the siliconization of the transistors, okay. So, in the final level, each cell or each transistor will have its layout. So, similarly, each layout consists of one cell, so that we can say as cell layout. Then each cell will consist of a block, that block further will consist of a entire system that can be fabricated in chips, okay. So, where your system will be floor planned accordingly, and it will be fabricated in terms of the chips. So, that is why the cell layout, block layouts and chips and floor plan layouts, finally the designing of multi-chip module or boards are constituted under layout designs, which is part of your physical domain, okay. So, so this is I think all about the today's class, where we studied about VLSI design flow. We have studied about the Gajewski Y chart and its impact on the VLSI top down or mixed type bottom approach, or design or tool levels, or different definition or terminology of the VLSI.